Welcome to Starting Over Podcast. I'm your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is the show where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. With me today is Professor Squeaky Chair, who is always here. But more importantly, I have my good friend Tom on the show. Say hello to everybody.
Hi everyone. I got introduced behind the chair.
Hey, the chair was a little bit more vocal. It's a little bit more vocal. It's better than Senior Fan. Senior Fan is a common staple on the show for years. It's warm in my apartment, but it's not that warm yet, and it's not humid. So Senior Fan only comes out at night. But yeah, today we of course are doing a Wonder Woman preview, and I know you're probably wondering, it's like, what's going on? Is this just turned into a set review channel? And to a degree, I'm not gonna lie, it has. There's just been so many things not going on in HeroClix, and too many things going on in real life where there's nothing really for me to report on the regular, and that other shows don't do better. And so I'm just sort of stuck chilling and working on real life stuff. I plan on moving back to Kansas City soon, so there will be like another lull time, which you may not even notice, considering how often I put out content now. But my hope is that when the tournament scene starts back up again, I can be right there with it, cranking and ready to go. So, but yeah, like just right now, there is really nothing. And with our conversation today, we are really on a pinch of salt. Like, really take any of the reviews with a pinch of salt, because there is no comprehensive rule book. And there are a lot of questions that players have that I think need to be answered, like knockback and falling damage. Is that still a thing? Like that would be something in a comprehensive rule book. That we haven't had really like a straight answer on that. We got an answer on the pulse wave. That it only will do one damage, regardless of how many people it targets. So we're just I don't be surprised if you listen to this and you're a year and a half in the future and you're just like, what the heck? These guys were so off, and why did they talk about that? And that doesn't work like that. Uh, we have no comprehensive rule book, and so we're going under basic assumptions with just the basic rule book. So, with that being said, let's start off. Let's go into our conversation on the commons. What are your picks on the commons?
So my first one would be the common shifting focus Wonder Woman, the number one. In and of herself, she's not that spectacular. She does make the Amazons with her leadership. Um she gets the shifting focus items, which are going to be big, and we'll kind of go a little bit more into them later. But the shifting focus package on this as a whole is just absolutely phenomenal. Um, and she's a piece of that.
Hmm. I like her. I think the understatement with her leadership is, if I'm playing her and things go well, um, and I don't necessarily need to take the token off, or I can't take the token off, and I get that roll, getting in additional Amazonian warriors is not a bad deal if you know, hey, this is going to work out well for me. Now, if I know with some folks it's like they only do 2 damage. I'm like, again, if you know like it's going to work out for you, if you need a body block, if you need to tie somebody up, if the 2 damage does work, getting in an Amazonian warrior with her leadership can change, the tide. Like, oh, she'll have to crit hit to hurt most figures. I'm like, yeah, I get that. But
Well, it does seem to like design is going a little bit less heavy-handed on the reducers.
yeah, yeah, and that's important too. And with the change to Invincible, like there's a lot more stuff for people to consider now. So let's go to your next pick because Amazonian Warrior is one of my picks. So let's go to your next pick.
Yeah, my next one was the Allied Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's one of the few sidekicks on here that I would see actually just paying his points to play him. Like all of them get generated, but he's a 20-point enhancement. Past and soldier keyword means that he can fit his way on a bunch of teams from the obvious keyword match to he could even make it to Latveria. He could make it into Spider Fam. Um, those are good options, and enhancement is going to be a thing going forward. So 20-point enhancement that jumps onto themes is nice.
Right. I would also sort of go in slight with the German soldier because of how well that they can potentially deal with formations that are going to be more popular. Calling in a German soldier in addition to an allied soldier, again, you have to have the corresponding correct pieces and all that jazz, waka waka waka. But in particular with Ares, and I know we're going to go and talk about Ares later. I think Ares is the one that makes these figures worth it, and I like the fact that WizKids, if you listen to my complaints, that you have super rares that build off of the commons, and so that the commons and uncommons aren't just trash fodder that you're trying to give, to little kids so that they have some, GI Joe men to play with. You know what I mean? So. But yeah, let's move on. What's your next common pick?
Uh, Actually, I'm going to let you go because you wanted to talk about the Amazons.
Oh no, no, we already talked about Amazonian
Okay.
Warrior. My pick. I know this sounds weird for most people. My pick is Batman, and I know some folks will
Oh,
say like, "Well, why Batman?" Uh, I feel his dial is worth 60 points, and his dial is worth 40 points, and he's good on your sideline. I think Batman just offers too much to be like ignored, let alone team up cards and all this other dumb stuff that you can do. Batman in my opinion, is really good. He gives the all your friendly sidekicks can use stealth. Like that can be really strong, definitely for Amazonians because now all your Amazon warriors can have stealth. So,
um, so I do want to give some quick love to the Minotaur.
oh yeah, that was your guy.
Yeah. So especially because the figure that generates him does some other things for the team. Having a charge, uh, um, sidekick that can move through blocking and then has blades is great. And when you couple that with the sidekick mechanics that they're getting plus stats against a lot of people because of the allies on the side, and then you add in something like a Julie Powers that can carry them across the map, place them, but it's not actually a carry, so then they can act after. These guys will surprise you. So just keep them in mind.
Yeah, my last pick in the commons is Superman, and a lot of folks will say like, yeah, he's trash points or this, that, and the other, and for his low dial, is like my main reason for the pick. But here's my thoughts. He has impervious to super senses and protected outwit on his starting click. And so you have to deal with it. And if you don't have a starter Superman, then that's great. He also has free choose a friendly sidekick, and it is singular. That character can use invulnerability until the end of your next turn. Giving that to a sidekick can be, in my opinion, very powerful. Because now you had something that may have been like this really decent range character that now is a little bit tankier. There's a couple of sidekicks that have a decent, length dial, and now all of a sudden, like they have damage reduction. Like, what are you going to do against that? You now have to, start focusing on Superman, so that that one character is, you know, that one sidekick isn't stupid buffed or comes back because hey, Herbie's here. You know, I need to, you know, get these characters off the map. So yeah, I like Superman.
I will say this, like, as far as competitive play, you're probably not going to Superman.
Oh yeah, I'll say
Um,
that.
but at the same time, the fact that CZE now stacks with his charge, 275 Superman being a 13 for 6 is no joke. And the fact that he can get across 8 squares with his charge to do it because he's 15 movement is amazing. Then he's got, 50/50 senses top dial and a 19 defense,
Plus impervious.
combined with a reducer. Yeah, like he's great. Like, and this is, I am so happy that they made this figure because one of my big complaints for a long time is most of the true power figures tend to be higher up. And when you're talking to a new player doesn't have the ability to right out the gate to go and combine a whole bunch of things to make something powerful. They need something inherently powerful. So putting a common like this out again was a really good move on WizKid's part, and I'm glad that they did it.
So, and here's sort of my argument. Like, definitely when we start looking at, we were bringing up Popper in our pre-chat, pre-show chat, and the combination I see in Popper is, uh, I don't know, you can't have equipment in Popper, right? I take that back, or is it? It's like
Um,
limited.
I think it's limited, but
Yeah, because I
um,
don't know if you can get Remaker Ring in the second thought.
no.
Ah, yeah. So, but here's the team. Is like you get that 20 point T Kane Franklin Richards, and then you play the Remaker Ring and you equip it to Superman on turn one, and he equips it, and now he has Shape Change, Super Senses, Impervious. Plus, he has the stats. Yeah, you don't have rerolls, but I think Franklin is a sidekick, so he'll get invulnerability. So like all those things put together, they work. Those characters work together. You're able to utilize them together. You really don't have to go and hunt down your opponent. Your opponent can come to you, and you're going to be absolutely fine. I think those are some interesting things. Now, again, if you go against like full pimped out, you know, House of X, you know, X-Men team, yeah, you're probably not surviving that. But it's something that I think can put up more fights, not wins, put up fights than I think a lot of people would think about. Definitely when you're talking about the average team only has one outwit, and it's like okay, so you're going to outwit my shape change, and I still have a close combat expert. So like Tom was saying, it's like I'm a 13 for 6, and that's going to KO most figures in the current game. So so let's move on to the uncommons then. Oh, or did you still want to bring up Cersei or no?
Cersei's great for Popper for TK prop.
Okay, I thought she was all right. That's it. In the past, she would have been broken, and which just sort of lets you know like how much power creep has gone, because she's in her. And I want to make this clear: her cost is inflated because of Injustice League team ability. Like it really is. She has no damage reducers either. You're paying 50 points because of the Injustice League team ability. So yeah, like just take that in. All right, so let's go to our uncommons. And I know let's just sort of, we're automatic play is here's Wonder Woman. Okay, you're going to see Wonder Woman. You
Well,
know,
I mean, the uncommon, I would say the only time you should see her is if you're playing the Diana Prince that's good. Please don't start with her on your team. She's 50 points, if not as good as other stuff.
I think she's okay for like I said before. Like hey, I charge close combat expert. That's a 12-4. That's not bad. That's not bad. I think.
I mean, but in the 50-point slot, like, unless you're playing Popper, he's going against things like Sky Tyrant that do the exact same job but better.
Fair.
Where I think she shines is the next figure up, Diana Prince, can secret identity into her.
Mm-hmm.
Diana Prince is 45 points, brings PD Wonder Woman ally. is a 12 attack NCAP stealth. She's got a leadership that generates the whatever the
DNA
agents.
agents.
Yeah, that have the police team ability. And then when you go to kill her, she turns into a competent fighter, and she can come in with the equipment equipped. Like, count me in. And she comes in with senses, so she's got a 50-50 rollout. So I mean, that's a pain in the neck to take down for just a handful of points.
Hmm.
So I'm about it.
Yeah. All right. My pick is Steve Trevor, and I like Steve Trevor on his low dial. And the main reason I like him on his low and his high dial. I'll take that back. I'll take his high dial too, because the more clicks you have with his leadership, the better. Definitely if you're playing Ares. But getting in those allied soldiers are really important. You know, like allied soldiers are really important, and the fact that you're able to uh, come in and generate them, and then more importantly, not just generate them, but also have the advantage of being a decent attacker and running shot and shooting. And if you do, you no longer call them in. You can, hey, you can get some defense. I mean, not to get some damage out for your team. So he's working as a more like buffing, more how can I put it, more mobile enhancer than the allied soldier, where with his sidestep, so that he can help out with more shots than with at least 2 attacks, or if your formation is good, 3 attacks, than the normal allied soldier could. So, but yeah, that's my pick is
I
Steve Trevor.
100% support that one.
Hmm.
Um, so there's a couple others that do some weird little things that aren't really that great. My next one would be the Prime, Talifar.
Hmm.
Um, Tolliver does a lot of stuff that I really like. First of all, he gives all sidekicks sidestep, and I've been working with sidekicks a little bit. I see potential there. I haven't quite got it sorted, but there's stuff there. Giving them sidestep help. The fact that he can combine Gorilla City with Amazon is nice. Um, and I mean leadership that generates sidekicks that are actually halfway decent when they're generated. Not bad. I'm a fan.
Mm. Okay, let's go on down. I'm a Mary Shazam fanboy. For the uncommons. Like, I think she is the bee's knees. She is one of the best uncommons that we've gotten in years. So she has Justice League, a Fawcett City, mystical keyword. She starts out the gate charge flurry. Out the gate charge flurry. Which, for a lot of people, they might say, well, that doesn't mean much. And it's like, she's not hypersonic speeding. And she has a 12 move. So she's charging for 6, which is a good distance. Okay. She can carry her own empower, which is a whole other thing that can be even just as dumb. You can give her the power gem, and so now she's a 12 for 5 potentially. And like there's so many different things like she works with that I can't help but say like, yeah, she's good. But she also has electric charge. When Mary Shazam uses it this turn, she has free improved targeting adjacent. This character can make ranged attacks while adjacent to opposing characters. Make a ranged attack that deals 1 penetrating damage instead of normal damage. Like that is great. Like that's like you just get a free bonus damage just because. So Mary Shazam is definitely on my list there.
I think
What's your
she's
next pick?
actually I really like the Harley Quinn. Um, Harley at 25 is like very quietly one of my favorite pieces in the game. Uh, Scientist keyword gets her onto a couple of different things, like obviously scientist, but also spider fan. Spider-Fan loves copying Wonder Woman Ally, and being able to copy Underworld is never bad either. And then the fact that for 25 points, you're getting a sidestepper that can carry people, that is a 10 attack quake, 2 damage, but has CCE, so she's actually an 11 for 3. And then she has a thing where when she misses, you give all, or, when she misses all targets of an attack, after resolution, give each target an action token. So she can run in, quake, and either damage them or whiff, and still both options end well for you. That's phenomenal.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
if
I
you can
didn't
make
think
it
about that last part.
Yeah. And then I actually like Ferdinand also. Ferdinand is 30 points, and you power action, choose an adjacent character, roll a d6, heal him half the result. So you're basically doing a regen on somebody else. There's no like support attack part of it where you have to actually hit it. Like, you just do it. And for 30 points, that's great. And again, monster keyword good. Warrior keyword can get him onto Spider Fam if you really want him there. I like both of those.
Okay. So, and we keep going on into. Uh, you had your thoughts on Maxi Zeus.
All right.
Go into that because I don't really have any other uncommons that I'm a big fan of. And no, I don't default like Nubia because she's black. I think Nubia as the dial sucks, but
Yeah.
I know someone's going to be like, well, Dark Logos, what about Nubia? And I'm like, no, she sucks. She's so bad.
Maxi Zeus is great. He generates some Minotaurs. He has barrier. He has leadership. He has underworld. He has sidestep. He's got 7 range and a 10 attack psychic blast with 3 damage. Is it world beating? No, but I mean, you put a couple of Maxi Zeuses there, and you have double barrier, and then you have the opportunity to be generating, uh, you know, improved movement blocking charge Minotaurs. Yeah, he's good. He's not flashy, but he does everything he's supposed to do and does it very, very well.
Yeah.
Um, a quick shout out to Jason. It's a 75 point figure with Power Cosmic, well, Cosmic Energy or whatever they call it now. And Wonder Woman Ally and Traded Senses. So he's got Invuln all the way down his dial. He's got a 50-50 roll his entire dial, and then running shot Psyblast. He's not a flashy piece, but being able to do all that and take tokens off yourself while being protected outwit, it's better than you think it is. But he's still not going to be competitive.
Okay. All
That's
right.
about it for uncommons.
You said what?
I think that's about it for me on the uncommons.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
So, yeah.
Nemesis gives ignores hindering to sidekicks and makes character.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
No.
All right. So let's go ahead and move on to the rares. In the rares, I'm going to start off, and my first pick is Teen Lantern. And I know this, like, well, it's blatantly obvious. And I'm like, well, yeah, like, Teen Lantern at both point values to me is worth it, in particularly the 30, but at both values he's worth it for a couple of reasons. Number one, um, getting barrier, like starting off, just getting barrier is important. Um, barrier as free can be way more stupid than what people think. And you have probability control. And when you use probability control, you can choose one of her barrier markers, and she can count range and draw a line of fire as if she occupied that square. That gives her almost a 12 radius prob for 30 points. That is ridiculous. Now I know again, you have to have line of fire, and it's not as dumb as Oz and some other characters. I understand that, but just for 30 points, you have a carry, a decent secondary attacker, a PD ability, barrier. Barrier is free for 1 square, and a prob. and then a prob that can prop through your barrier. That's a lot. Like, you can have this character functionally prob around corners for you and be really, really annoying to your opponent. I think underestimating Teen Lantern when you see it ever is a bad idea. So that's my first pick on the rares. What's your next? What's your pick?
So straight up, Angleman is really good. I didn't think that I would like him as much as I do. I will say a lot of it is his object. I think his object actually might be very, very competitive in the future. Um, but I pulled him in sealed, and I was like, okay, whatever, 45-point prob, let's go, right? And you'd be surprised the reroll on the 3 comes up more often than you would think it would, and it's actually kind of nice because that part of it's global. It doesn't say within range or anything, and it includes breakaways. And then being able to just place them 6 squares away, like in particular, the object says, the angler. Now he starts with it equipped. It gives him phasing with a speed value of 10. Then it says free. If this character is adjacent to an object, a printed wall, or a printed square of blocking terrain, place them in another square within 6 squares in line of fire that is adjacent to an object, printed wall, or square of blocking terrain. So, I mean, he gets around the map in a way that people do not expect, and your prob is always where you want it. And again, his object going forward is actually probably going to be more valuable than he is, but definitely pick him up.
I didn't think about Angleman at all. So
Neither did I until I played him, and then I was like, whoa, this guy's way better than I thought he'd be.
okay. Uh, so here's a question. Okay, it's within 6 squares. There could be a lot of shenanigans depending on the map, like that you're on. And I think he goes off better on an indoor map, it seems, than an outdoor map. Because most outdoor maps don't have a lot of printed squares of blocking terrain. Like, I think there's some map dependency, but like if you're able to get around the map dependency, then it's a non-issue then.
Yep. And honestly, just being able to manipulate it through objects can be kind of big too. The other one I really liked that I wasn't expecting to was Zeus.
Really?
Yeah, he's just a bear to chew through. Now that they're going to be sidelining Invincible, having Mystics is better than it was before, though it does still have the retail factor that you got to deal with. But I mean, the guy's got 2 stop clicks. He's a cannon the entire time. You know, he repositions your opponent's force. He when he hits them, he halves their speed. Like it's obnoxious. And even if you don't use all of that nice stuff that comes along with him, you can put him on your sideline and get a +1 against deity for sidekick teams, and that goes to captains and allies. So, like, you'll get your money worth out of him, and he's a rare, so pick him up.
I'll say this. Like, I'm not fully sold on that, and I think to me, I have to see more deities that are like an issue, but I can understand it. So my next pick is the Giganta and the Giganta Primes, primarily for their retail ability, and the squads that they can work on is pretty intense. So I know for scientist teams, hey, you're looking for a retailer to work with Doom. Here is another retailer that can work with Doom, like Giganta. So yeah, like those are my 2 picks. I think most people will pick Giganta anyway. So
My next one up would be Dr. Psycho.
Really?
I
Man.
had zero respect for this figure until I played him last or 2 days ago. He was the MVP of my team. I ended up copying PD with him, and so because he sees through characters and everything but blocking, he's very good at using PD.
PD, yeah.
Uh, Leadership is always nice. Being able to see through people while you TK is awesome. Um, like he was way better than I thought he was, and then he also has a mind control that's triple target. And after he hits, or after he uses it, you give each hit character an action token.
Yeah.
So like it's one of those things where had I not played him, I would have skipped over him without ever giving him a second look. After having played him, I actually am now trying to build with him.
Hmm. That's interesting. Dr. Psycho. My next one is Star Sapphire. And I think this is another blatantly obvious one. 25 points, sidestep TK, barrier, Injustice League. Yeah, you get some bonuses against Green Lanterns on your sideboard, but that's not why you're playing her. You're playing her because she's on theme and she's providing you the barrier. Molecule Man can be like, let's not lie, Molecule Man is more OP. But if Molecule Man doesn't fit on your team because you're trying to stay theme or you're trying to utilize like another mechanic or whatever, then Star Sapphire is darn good. If I know it sounds weird with like you're talking about other sets, but I mean that's a real big deal because for the cost, and I think this is where you can agree with or disagree with me is I think Molecule Man ended up messing up more stuff than helped, or like in terms of barrier. But real quick, what's your thoughts on that?
Um, I think that she's actually really good, and I agree with you that is a factor. Being 5 points cheaper is nice. Having barrier, TK, sidestep, she's a great little supporting cast member. Um, I mean, when you're comparing someone to the best 30-point figure in the game, that's a pretty big. Uh,
Yeah.
I do have another pick that you skipped over that I think is worth talking about, and that is actually Strife at 25.
Really?
She Yeah, she gives all friendly characters within 4 squares, friendly standard characters within 4 squares, mystics, right? And for a long time, we've been looking at mystics as a bad thing because they use, an ID card. They shoot. The ID takes the mystics. No one really cares. Then they turn around and retail you. And while the retail thing is still a factor, there's a lot of characters in the game right now that only take one click at a time, like Magneto and Sinister and you know, Sabretooth, the Danger Room guys.
Mm-hmm.
Giving them mystics is brutal. And again, with them sidelining Invincible going forward, um it she might find a place.
Mm. That's that to me is rough. Here's why I'm not completely sold on Strife is I think it's real easy just to take her off the board and be done. Uh, her ability is good, and if you're really needing it for the point, excuse me, the points, then yeah, like I feel like this is what happens if you have a melee base mystical or deity team that can get into the fray and tie up line of sight. Like if you can tie up line of sight to protect her and your opponent doesn't have a bunch of like I can get around this or that or outwit, yeah, like I think she just gets snapped too quick for
I
her
mean, my,
good.
my pushback there is she's 25 points. So if you want to go beat on 25 points and ignore my higher point figures, I'll let you do.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Right. Let's keep going.
I mean,
Hmm?
Rare Wonder Woman is an automatic, absolutely yes. She's super good.
Yeah, she is probably one of the most broken figures in the set. Dual target incapacitate with a 12 attack, 3 damage. At first, when I looked at it, I was like not too happy about like what she did, and when I saw how she worked with Giganta, I was like, oh yeah, that's happening. That's like
Well,
that's definitely happening. You know.
and her aura effect of dropping people's defense by 1 for each action token they have on them
Hmm.
when they're within her range, like that's it's quietly much better than advertised. And I get to play her in sealed. Super impressed with her. Um, I'm a fan.
Yeah. So I definitely can say that like I have some support for her. I have a little bit of a sleeper well, actually I have two sleepers that I think that are good and to be considered as competitive. One is Dr. Poison, and that's because again you generate the German soldiers, and having that work with your Ares build. But I think all around, she's not horrible. Is she super aggressive and great? No. But you can be more aggressive with her after you solve for your opponent's outwit. I'm not going to front. You're going to have to solve for your opponent's outwit. She gets aggressive. Your opponent starts trying to beat her down. You mastermind the damage to the German soldiers, and you keep it trucking. And because of that, it creates a situation where uh, definitely if you have Aries, your opponent saying to themselves, I'm trying to get her off the field because she's part of the problem, but I can't get her off fast enough because she's just constantly bringing in or can constantly potentially bring in more and more and more German soldiers or allied German soldiers. And if I hit her, the damage is reduced on the German soldier. And then I'm just sort of doing the job for Ares as it is. So I feel like it is she. Yeah. I feel like she is part of like the Ares team. And I think that's fine. And I like the fact, again, we're having all of the rarities work together as a actual team. And there is some default deck building um, that is going on in this set, and I like that. And the second one, I forgot. The second figure was Maxwell Ward. I think Maxwell Ward is way stronger than he lets on. Uh,
He's he's solid. I've gotten to play him. He's very good. Um, before you go too far from Doctor Poison, though,
mhm.
the fact that you can free action give a sidekick poison is nice. I really wish it was a global thing like Steve Trevor did, but giving a poison to a figure that people don't want to kill is actually really good. So I just wanted to point that out.
Right. All right. So let's go back. Let's go into the super rares. And we're progressing a lot faster than I thought we would. And I know some people will say, well, this is where the meat and potatoes is going to come in. And unfortunately, I hate to agree that that is the case. That most of what is in our super rares is going to be the core of the game. But I do think, like I said, WizKids is going into a bit of they're angling that giant barge to to evade those rocks ever so slowly uh, to try to not get the entire ship destroyed, and giving value to the commons and the uncommons and rares for the competitive game and for even some of the fun game stuff. So Let's start with the first pick that we want to talk about the most. So go ahead, Tom. What's your pick?
The one I want to talk about the most would be Flash.
Okay.
Um, First of all, this was created by two members of Phoenix Nest and some other guy that I'm not going to talk about. Um, um, no, but Maddie, George, and Adam Friedman um, made this, and it's a great figure. I think the correct number to own is two, personally, because then you
Mhm.
kind of can choose between the stealth outwit or the TK prob. Generally, I find myself playing the TK prob and then the initial double charger. But this figure is so good. He can do so many things because of his movement. And I mean, you can use him as a heat-seeking missile. You can use him to break things. Like he's just amazing. And the fact that you can get the second guy by only paying 20 points instead of 30. So for a 50-point investment, I can have, a really awesome secondary attacking piece and uh, two different flavors of really good supporting piece. I think that two is the perfect number. I could see arguments for three. I think they're bad, but I like two, and I think they're a phenomenal piece.
Okay. All right. My pick, and I think some folks will say uh, that I probably have a GL problem, which I do because I am a GL fanboy. Hal was my GL starting off, not John. I know a lot of people will be like, "What? John wasn't your first GL favorite?" I'm like, "No, I saw Hal first, and initially when I first saw John Stewart, I was like, please don't give me a token GL. Like the more I found out about John, the more I liked him. But like again, just because someone's black doesn't mean I default like them as a character either, people. All right, so Green Lantern. Uh, Green Lantern is, in my opinion, the strongest super rare. Like pound for pound, the strongest super rare out of this set. And I know some people will be like, "Whoa, that's a pretty strong claim," and I'm like, "Yeah, it is," but it's in part because I remember like the dark days. It's the Pepperidge Farm remembers, meme of a Green Lantern tank, and I know what a Green Lantern tank can do. And with all the changes that have gone on in the game, and the fact that the Green Lantern team ability lets you carry flyers, and that is a larger deal than people think because it doesn't, and there's no more movement penalty for carrying. The fact that I can carry a full contingent, put down all the support characters, and then right now it looks like Soldier because I can run a Green Lantern, run three allied soldiers, right? Run Ares and Steve Trevor, and I am actively running, shotting, and shooting every visible character for six, and a lot of folks don't know how strong that can just be. That I can dip around the corner and just blast you for that much damage. And that doesn't stop me from running a PD to lower your defense or somebody else that's going to throw up, free barriers or anything else on my team. The fact that the Green Lantern tank was a staple in competitive play in the grim dark days when Dark Logos was beginning to learn the magics of the heroclix force. I think a lot of newer players do not know how strong a Green Lantern tank can be and why there was no flyers carrying flyers and why enhancements prices sort of skyrocketed after Green Lantern tanks became prevalent. Like, Green Lantern tanks are scary. And I'm not trying to fear monger and I'm not trying to say, oh, woe is me, heroclix is broken and dead, I'm out. No. But the fact, when we start breaking down the fundamentals of this piece, you'll start to see like, no man, this is a bad man right here. This is gonna be some problems. Okay, so we have the 10 move carry, which just your overall deploy, that's good. Okay, then you go into the fact that he has defend at a 19, not an 18 defend, a 19 defend. That's where it starts to matter. So with a 19 defend, we have all those soldiers that were 16 defense and all this other dumb stuff. No, they're not that anymore. They're a 19. He also generates a construct that gives you energy shield. So now these suckers, some of these suckers are not just 19s from range, they're 21s. He has leadership, so now he's adding to your action pool and taking tokens off his secondary firing squad, which is going to be the Allied soldiers or German soldiers or whoever the heck else that he has in there to back his butt up. Oh, you decide to pop him, really good, because that's what you did to old GL tanks. You would pop them in the mouth really good, and they weren't that good anymore. Oh no, I have a stop click. Oh gosh, I have a stop click. Hey, and it's stop invulnerability. Oh, are you going to try to pop me again? Well, guess what? You spent all that energy. You popped me again. You took me to my last click. Well, I'm a 9 attack. I'm an outwit, and I still have I can still be healed. So it's ridiculous. And then once you hit him, he starts getting serious because his click 2 and his click 3 are about dismantling your opponent's team. And that's not even counting him shifting the team. Like, I think some folks forget how stupid placement is because they're only like moving 1 or 2 characters at a time with placement. He can rearrange 4 characters around a stationary character and then be like, I need to back up, make sure that my medic can heal me, because that also is a staple of a GL tank. But while that's popping off, yo dogs, hey, have you seen my homie Allied soldier? Where has he been? To and fro in the earth with napalm, mofo. Let's go. So I really am hitting on the fact that a lot of younger cats in the game do not know what WizKids has unleashed. I'm going to go out there and try to make sure that I get one. And hell, you might even want to. But yeah, Green Lantern tank, most powerful super rare. That's my sermon. I pass around the offering plate.
Honestly, he was my other favorite of the bunch.
He was your what?
He was my other favorite of the bunch.
Mm.
Him and Flash were the 2 absolute must-haves out of that set for me.
Mm-hmm.
From there, I would like to give some love to Chip.
Oh yeah, Chip's good too.
Because Chip is single-handedly the best taxi in the game. Green Lantern team ability, sidestep, makes the catcher's mitt, TK, prob. Yeah, like he doesn't fight, but he does everything else great. So if you don't need the fighter, you don't need the extra defend, then Chip is phenomenal.
Well, and this is what's sad. What Hal did up front is what Chip was known for. Like legitimately, like what Chip, like, so if you go look at old GL Chip, because I played this guy for years, you would always push him onto click 2 for running shot, 9 TK in the 18 defend, back when that was a big deal. Okay, and then on click 3 he got RCE where he could use trick shot and he could start doing the GL tank silliness like the other GL tanks. But there was a Hal Jordan or a Kyle Rayner that was doing it better. Because once trick shot happened, that's when the GL tanks got stupid. But when you look at what Chip does now, Chip is, in my opinion, he is a super support. But I also think, and this might be a little bit of a stretch, I think he's that secondary support for Hal, right? And because again, Green Lantern tanks can, Geo allows you flyers to carry flyers, and so when you start talking about getting that repositioning for that second attacker and making sure like the prob is there, or TKing a friendly out so that they can be there when the readjustment happens, so they can make a shot. So you're not necessarily like repositioning everything in a turn after Hal attacks. Having somebody to take the tokens off, someone with a 19 defense that has ESD that you don't have to use your catcher's mitt on so that they also have ESD. Uh, I think Chip fits with how it's just the fact that he doesn't have a soldier starts making you have to look hard at how is a quote unquote Green Lantern theme team going to roll in the near future, and just looking at it, it's not something that I really want to have a bunch of serious conversations on right now. You know what I mean?
Seems fair.
Yep. All right. What's
Um,
I'll give you your next pick, and then I'll tell you my second pick.
okay. My next one is Felix Faust at 30.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, I like my support powers, and so just getting outwit, prob control, and enhancement for
Mm-hmm.
30 points is really good. Like that alone would be enough to get him into the party,
Mm-hmm.
right? He has stealth. He has free place Felix Faust in a square up to 4 squares away from his current square. So he's got a placement. It doesn't require line of fire. He can get around really easily. So we're going to get him where we want him to go without spending action. And then he has a trait when an opposing character within range would use outwit, probability control, or perplex. So within range, not line of fire. On a 1, that character can use, you roll a d6. On a 1, the character can use it an additional time. Okay, 2, 3 doesn't do anything. 4 or 5, the use of power has no effect. So they try to use it, doesn't do anything. On a 6, the use of that power has no effect, and after resolutions, deal that character 1 penetrating damage.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and he has mystics, because, why not? And if that's not enough, he has psychic blast and 2 damage, so it's not like he's just a complete scrub that can't fight back. So, like, yeah, like, bang for your buck. This guy's up there. Oh, and he has 8 range. So, there's that too.
Yeah. Yeah. My next pick is, and I've this one, and I'll say it like this: this pick is more for the things that you can add on to it than its default, base model. Okay. My next pick is Mary Shazam, and I know a lot of people will shake their heads at Mary Shazam and would think like, well, she's bad. And in all honesty, she's not even as offensive as the uncommon. And I'm just going to be 100 with you on that. What I like about Mary Shazam is number one, she is able to have a 12 move charge. Uh, the second thing that I like is that you give her Doc Ock arms for a limited time only, and she's a 12 move charge flurry with leadership, and I like that. But in particular, like that charge flurry at 12 range for 75 points, that's a lot for an opponent to deal with. And she also has the Shazam once per turn when Mary Shazam hits an opposing character with a close attack. After resolution, she may use Quake as free. So with the Doc Ock situation, she can go downfield, charge, hit twice. If she hit any of them, any of those attacks, she can now Quake. So you can just set yourself up for that single target where you could use Quake as free, or even multi-target depending on what your needs are, and bam, there you go. Um, so I just think that as it's set up is a really strong ability. The defend ability is okay. It's not great. It's okay.
Yeah. For me, if they hadn't changed how Quake works and the arms weren't retiring, then maybe. But those two things kind of killed her from. Um. So yeah, that's my rub. Like if I could do full damage single target Quake still, sure, I'd be about her.
Yeah. Uh, I know we've danced around and talked about it, and this is a point where I wanted us to fully talk about Ares because Tom doesn't like Ares. I like Ares. Um,
Well, I like what Ares does. I don't like the dial.
okay, so go lay out your full case, Tom.
All right, look at every other deity character in the set that's like part of the pantheon, right? You've got like Zeus, Apollo. um, All of the higher point ones have cosmic energy.
Mm-hmm.
Ares does not,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that he is way easier to kill than I ever thought he would be.
Mm-hmm.
And so in practice, when I fielded him, um, now granted, the person I was playing happened to be playing a figure that, you know, like perfectly countered the body blocking I was doing and saw through it all.
Mm-hmm.
But he got double tapped on me, man. Like two shots and he was dead. Um, and that was only possible because they were able to outwit his defense, and it was just done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as like the fact that there's a snowball effect with his pogs, that's really cool, and it also works for the actual physical characters too, because it's just a character named, so it works both with his bystanders that he's generating and um with the German soldiers and the Allied soldiers on the field. That's awesome. And the fact that his endless war tokens don't go away, so like I said, it's a snowball effect. Right now, or one turn you're scoring three, then all of a sudden you get a few more of them. Next turn you're scoring an additional six every turn. It ramps up quickly, but he's 125 points. If he was 75 points, he would be tier one competitive. At
Mm-hmm.
125 points, I really needed a little extra protection to keep him alive because he's a little squishier than you would think should be.
Hmm. That is something like I don't have a big rebuttal for that. I think here is my thoughts with Ares and why I liked Ares. In my opinion, Ares had to be played with Galactus, with the Hero Dial. And the main reason that I thought that was that I needed to restrict the conflict to force my opponent to engage, and that I have no incentive to go far out against my opponent. But I need to utilize that time mechanic against my opponent. And having very quick turns where I'm just like generate, 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 boop, 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 boop. Here we go. I think that that was more mandatory uh, than it was, hey, uh, let me phrase that. Like being able to generate the stuff, making sure I had another pressure element, the having the power cosmic or the whatever equivalent on Ares, I think solves it. Plus, it also gives you a pressure timer on your opponent. So when I thought about that, like you're not wrong. But when I'm thinking about Ares, I'm automatically thinking about Ares in this situation where he is theme team and there are multiple generators of soldiers, and I have a character that is going to have the hero dial. So yeah, like I mean that's something that I didn't think about.
No, that's fair. And honestly, my approach was a little different. I was going non-theme, but I'd figured out a combo to where I could kill my own soldiers very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
um, without having my opponent help me. So I was playing a game of keep away, um, and I could manufacture enough bodies to stay in front of him while still racking up the points very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, like he's close, but he's not quite there from what I've seen. And maybe someone smarter than me will come up with something better.
Yeah, and I think this is the issue for me with Ares just overall. Like, is he is he bad? I don't think he's bad. I think WizKids misunderstood the type of character that they were making. Like, his dial and his abilities do not line up. And I think that's one of the main problems with Ares is that you're paying for that Engines of War, and that really, and I hate saying it, that cost on all of the ally figures inflates them more in terms of functionality because you're getting something for free on one end, and then you're having to bake that into the cost when you're actively playing them. So you have dead points. And that to me is like one of the first problems that comes up with Ares. And the second part that comes up with Ares is like, why isn't there any mastermind? Like, that should be his number one thing that, one of the things that he should have. Like, I know it's like, oh, Ares never hides behind people. I understand that, but he's gonna ruthlessly be blocking shots, and it's going to go off on somebody else. It could just be like, look, highly reflective shield. Like, Ares has impervious. He succeeds on a 4 through 6. If you roll a 4, transfer the damage to an adjacent figure instead, or 3 through 6, transfer the damage to an adjacent figure instead. That would symbolize like, okay, he has something in between mastermind and impervious, and so the impervious part kicks in on a 5 through 6. On a 3 through 4, the mastermind part kicks in. So, but yeah, and then if you land a true strike on a 1 through 2, he takes the hit. So I think that would have fixed some things too. Uh, what's do you have any other super rare picks?
I actually have a couple.
Okay.
So there's the Isaac Arnold Berkovic's Lex Luthor.
Yes.
Uh, so he's kind of a weird mixed bag for me. Um, he like having an outwit at 50 points is not that scary, and I think to an extent opposing characters might try to ignore him, which means that I probably want to have someone that can mastermind onto him. Um, which is not the end of the world. I think that's doable. The other interesting thing is his the characters that he generates, they gain immune. Um, and I think he can actually still mastermind onto them. Like, unless something massive changes with the new rules, he should be able to mastermind onto them. So it's it's one of those things where it's going to be a chore to chew through him, and the characters he makes are both very solid. Um, he's going to be a pain to deal with the entire time. So I like that. Add in somebody else to help activate him, and now you're looking at something that's going to be really problematic. I think it's a good piece. Um, I think it probably won't see the love that it probably deserves, just because it's not the easiest thing to just slap on it and go. It's going to take a little bit of things,
Okay.
or you can just play it with Jason and make the pogs.
Yeah, I was going to say my view on him is he is Jason fodder. Like, he's just Jason fodder. While I've looked at like, oh hey, why would I call this out? And it's like, because Sterax I think is a 10 psychic blast and not an 11 psychic blast, and he has toughness, so I don't have to worry about poison. And I think a better range too. Stellarex, I think, is the Isaac Hog.
Yeah.
Uh, let me check.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. He has 5 range, which is worse. His 5 range ESD and 3 damage. Yeah, 7 movement. So yeah, I would take that over Stellarex, and that is a big deal. So I'm still sort of salty that the Krakoa card is its own card, so I can't use it for Jason.
That
I
is a very good thing.
I know it's a
Um,
good thing. I'm still salty about that because when I got my Krakoa card, I was like, oh, technically it's its own card. No,
now,
but yeah, go ahead.
so there are a couple figures I would like to give a quick holler out to, though. I don't like the um, 59A Wonder Woman. I think she's just too vanilla, but she does come with the sword. Uh, do you need the sword? Probably not. I honestly think that the lasso and the golden armor and the bracelets are all better, but there's gonna like why not have it? So there's that. Um, the prime version of her for 60 points is really good, like really really good, and I think she gets to start with sword also, which means it gives her access to the other equipments, because the equipments themselves have their own shifting focus too. Um, the prime is very good. To me, she's not $100 good like people are asking for. I don't think that's is probably worth that. But
You
those
mean
stop figures,
Prime Blades Claws Fangs with Steel Energy with a 12-4 starting off is not worth $100 paying 60 points.
well, I mean, the two stop quick is pretty good, but for what we're getting nowadays, I don't know that that's what I'd want to put my money to. But I think she's a great figure. If you can get her for a reasonable deal, definitely pick her up. But I don't think she's gonna be the end all be all.
I think more is that she is good for a monster team. And I think that's the issue. I think more people are probably picking her up for than anything
Um,
else.
yeah, but again, she takes up a prime slot. Um,
Fair. That's more than
I
fair.
mean, she's good. She's really good, and I do like her. But I don't think that she's worth $100. You know, like kind of like I really like the super rare prime Ghost Rider from Fantastic Four, and that was
Oh
a
yeah,
60 piece. That was fine, but I wouldn't pay $100 for it. That's for sure.
yeah.
Um, the title Wonder Woman comes with the bracelets, so she's kind of a must-have because those bracelets, giving out the Wonder Woman team ability, that's just crazy, especially with Spider Fam and other things out there that can copy it. So that
Mm.
alone makes her worth having. And then if you can pull off her trait, where she gets to make herself basically ignore damage, she can become insane, and like absolutely game breaking if you can pull it off. So I would definitely keep her in mind. She's crazy good. Um, and yeah, that was it. The rest of it, it's kind of whatever.
Yeah, I will. I'll. Yeah, I don't have any other comments when it comes to the super rares. Let's
Yeah, I
go
mean,
into the chases.
get golden armor Wonder Woman because you want the golden armor.
Golden
Plus,
Armor,
she's
yeah, yeah,
yeah, but that's like it's the shifting focus with all.
yeah. All right, so let's talk about it. I know I initially loved King Shazam, and the more I understood, the less I loved King Shazam.
Oh yeah, so beautiful sculpt, giant hot pile of steaming crap.
Yeah. He was like, oh, because I remember I saw people talking smack about him, and I was like, nah, dude, look at them stats, look at this, look at that. And I think this is also before we got the new pack, and so there's a lot of things in that where I was looking at Shazam, and I was making a lot of assumptions on what he could do, and I was like, oh man, you know, that he could possibly come in and hit somebody, then outwit, and then do this and that. It was like no, he just fell apart. Like the more I saw like the way the game was going, and then the whole, I think someone was telling me like even his damage attack power, like it has the potential of just not working. Um, so yeah, I'm not a fan of Shazam, King Shazam. So
Um, well, and let's make this clear. If you are fighting King Shazam and you want to kill him, all you have to do is outwit his special attack power.
mhm.
And at that point, the person playing him will just have to take your hits because if they go to that other power, he's just a sitting duck and dies.
Mhm.
The end. Like you can't sell that to me at 150 and you can't sell it to me at 50. No.
Not in the current situation. No.
Yeah,
So yeah.
that's it. He doesn't have a way to protect himself from those outwits. It's ugly.
All right. Let's go into the first of many. Of wow, this is going to be our day. Uh, let's start talking about Sky Tyrant.
Oh, we're skipping Scarab?
Sorry. Let's go Scarab. Scarab first, then Sky Tyrant, because Scarab is just as dumb. So you go ahead and start because these guys
Scarab.
made me depressed. Like these guys
Uh,
made me depressed because I was like, WizKids, you're making me have a hard decision between investing and buying heroclix. Because there's no way that the prices on these guys go down. Like same
when
with Doom, there's no way like the prices on them are going to go down.
they're gonna drop a little bit. They're not as versatile as Doom, but the Secret Six team is is crazy good, and Scarab is probably I would say Scarab's the best piece in the whole set. Um, so all right, real quick with the Secret Six, all of them together have traded out wit. They modify attack +1 when attacking one or more or one or more characters that share a keyword. He has armor, monster, ruler, deity, all generics. Then he has Dark Knight and Secret Six. So there's a lot of times where he's going to get a buff, which is cool. Um, then he has free choose an adjacent character until your next turn. Scarab can use the effect of all equipment equipped to that character. So here's where this gets a little silly: is there are some characters that can be multi-equipped, or even just the fact that you can equip Scarab on his own and then also copy equipment means you can do some crazy combos. Um, that just were never ever intended to work together, and now they do. So that's awesome. He has a special damage power that lets him count squares for range and line of fire from unheld objects and opposing equipped characters. When Scarab attacks this way, he deals a maximum of 1 damage. Now, that's all great, right? And then when you couple that with the fact that if you have at least 6 characters on your force with Secret Six keyword, opposing characters can't use Protected Outwit or Safeguard Outwit. So this guy can see ridiculous distances thanks to the objects, or if your opponent's equipped, even better. They can outwit defenses. He can hit you. He's got TK. He's got sidestep, and then he's got whatever you're copying off of the equipment. Like the ridiculous shenanigans that this guy can pull off. It's silly. He's super great. Really sad that I didn't pull one, but yeah, he's awesome. Get Scarab. Give him.
Yeah. So um, I know for myself, uh, one guy that I am interested in, definitely when we start talking about the chases. And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to let you handle all the Secret Six stuff. Uh, I hate to
Okay.
say it, I spent most of my time looking at the lanterns, which was, possibly a grand epic fail. But I spent a lot of time looking at Sinestro, and I felt
Good.
that Sinestro was was one of those. If in the right, he has more situations that have to go right than wrong. Uh, but I think that if you design your team well enough, he can be devastating, like ridiculously devastating. So First and foremost, like he has construct free. If no construct generated by Sinestro was on your force this turn, generate an indigo construct. I don't like the fact that they're limited to just their color construct, but it is what it is. So the indigo construct is the stop sign, which grants barrier. So that is great. So immediately KO this construct if it's not within 6 squares of the character that generated it. Constructs do not block line of fire, require opposing characters to break away, and opposing characters don't stop moving when they become adjacent to construct. Constructs can't be chosen for mastermind or have their combat values modified, so that's important. Then you have stop and think it over. Opposing characters within 2 squares can't use improved movement. A lot of folks will not understand how not being able to use improved movement can become ridiculously stupid. Do you have phasing teleport? Guess what? You can't use improved movement. Does the path of the character that you're moving, your character's moving through, does that go through blocking? Guess what? Now it can't. Even if you don't see the stop sign, it's an aura effect. Uh, so you would have to go around, which really puts a hurting on Juggernaut. It allows you to protect yourself from Juggernaut when he has to go into a straight line to attack you. So there's that. Not only that, you also have the fact like, okay, you shut down your phasing teleport, you shut down your really, I don't know if it really affects. No, hindering terrain no longer hinders movement. Period. So
Correct.
I don't think you would get slowed down from water or from
You would
hindering.
not.
Yeah, you wouldn't. But the fact that you are now having to deal with blocking terrain and elevation changes. Definitely, if you can't change elevations and dealing with like goes a Great Mound, that could be ridiculously hard to deal with. And the fact that you can sort of place and replace this rather easily and it has the ability to move itself, yeah, like that is strong. On top of it doing barriers. So it's like, oh, here's this phasing piece. It's going to bury you in for 2 turns. Oh, hey, guess what? Something. Oh, it's got 2 tokens. Well, I'm move Sinestro back with the carry. Oh, now he moves back. Oh, okay. Guess what? Rebury you. So I think Sinestro has the potential to be like relatively more powerful than a lot of people think. Uh,
I I will say I actually got to pull him in sealed, and
ooh, Grats.
yeah, he's amazing. And one of the things that people tend to overlook is not only does he have that close combat expert, so if they do get up in his face, he's hitting them 12 for 4. And I mean, psychic lasts 12 for 3 with 6 range and a sidestep. I mean, he's a reasonable secondary attacker. But the fact that he can just either free heal a character 1 click, or and it doesn't have to be friendly. Like if somebody's like let's say somebody's rocking the Hulk and you're like, hey, you know, let's go ahead and heal you off of the protected clicks, and I can outwit your charge and ignore you for a couple turns. I mean, there's weird little things that you can do there that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other thing is he can choose a character within range and line of fire and knock him back 1 square in a direction of your choice. That includes himself. And that is just awesome.
Yeah, definitely with no knockback damage
Yep.
anymore,
So,
potentially.
well, and the fact that you can just knock yourself back means it's a way to auto breakaway. Um, like there's so many weird little nuanced things that this guy can do that I'm a big fan. He's awesome.
Also, I think this is another element for characters that do heal, that can heal past stop clicks, but don't have a base of healing built in. For 50 points, he just every turn just says heal an adjacent character 1 click, even if it's your adjacent to an opposing character. You just free heal a die 1 click, and like from a sustained perspective, that can be way stronger in terms of like damage output that a lot of people are aware of because we still have pushing damage. We don't have. We don't have pushing damage. Sorry, we still have 2 tokens. We don't have pushing damage. That's what I meant to say. And so, knowing that you're in a situation where you're only able to do like maybe 1 or 2 clicks a turn, and that figure, the figure that you're hitting is locking you down, and then Sinestro is behind them, healing them 1 click per turn. You're talking about a battle with that you can't win, and not having the limitation that they have to be not adjacent to they cannot be adjacent to opposing characters. That's a real huge issue when we start talking about placement and we start talking about uh, making sure that we have some level of sustain in the game. So yeah, Sinestro, like, he's not that deep, but for 50 points, I think he's relatively scarier than a lot of folks may be recognizing.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and do Sky Tyrant now.
Yep.
Sky Tyrant is exactly what he looks like, and he does it very well. Okay. He has the Secret 6 trait we've already covered. Then he has another trait. When he KOs an opposing character, give him a reincarnation token. When he would be KO'd, you may instead remove a reincarnation token and turn him to click number 7. So he's got a don't die aspect to him, right? He has flurry, charge, but don't have speed. When Sky Tyrant hits after resolutions, he may move up to half his speed value using improved movement ignores character. So he's got Quake, and he's got Exploit Weakness, and he's got Energy Shield. This is at 50 points. Don't play him at 100. Play him at his low. Play 2. I don't care, but whatever. So here's the deal. TK him up. Charge 11 squares. Now, put a power gem on him first, right? TK him up. Charge 11 squares. And then flurry. And now he's going to be swinging as a 12 for 5 twice with Exploit. And after he hits twice, because it's 2 separate attacks, 2 separate hits, he can then move back half his movement 2 times. So, I mean, yeah, he's great. He's not complicated. Like, he does exactly what you think he does, but he does it extremely, extremely.
Yeah. And so we start talking about this is like with equipment is also just well, not even with equipment, just he acts like a hypersonic speed yo-yo, except it's with charge.
And has crazy output.
Yeah. So, and this is, like I said, I won't lie, I got caught up on the lanterns, and the team we're talking about, the Secret Six, and the Lantern fanboy and me came out and be like, but I have constructs again. Remember constructs? They were great. They were great. Yeah. So, yeah. So, my next one to talk about is Guy Gardner. Yeah. This is another one of those like did you think this through? Just a bit. So Guy Gardner has charge, and he also gets his construct thing, and then he gets 6 against 1. Bring it on, Quake. When Guy Gardner uses it and targets 2+ characters, instead of dealing 2 damage, he deals damage equal to the number of adjacent opposing characters +1. So yeah, like he can do a lot of damage if you're clumped, but it's not necessarily that part that I think is like the ridiculous part of him. The part that I think is ridiculous is his construct, the chainsaw, and pretty much it's flurry blades. It's flurry blades with an 11 attack, and it has a 6 move. Now, for some folks might say, like, wait a second, why is this a big deal? Well, it's a big deal for a couple reasons. It's a big deal because I can carry or TK out uh, Guy, and then Guy generates this within 6 squares, and then I can just flurry you with blades. And I know some folks will think like, well, all right, so and like let me make it more clear. I can drop ship with Guy. Remember what I said with that whole Green Lantern tank thing? Yeah, I can drop ship with Guy, and he can be part of my Green Lantern tank. And now I'm able, in my same turn that I appear, attack you with the flurry blades. So like action efficiency is stupid high when it comes to Guy Gardner. So that's where like for myself personally, I said to myself, I'm like, man, he is way better than I think a lot of people are going to recognize. And that's also why I was sort of wishing that you could also like swap around the constructs, but they made it so you can't.
So, are you ready for me to say something that's going to make people hate me?
Go ahead.
I also pulled him in.
Oh, grats, man.
So I played three sealed stuff, but I played two pre-releases, and in pre-release I pulled him. The next one I pulled Sinestro, and then when we got some extra packs, both times I pulled a prime each time. I pulled Talifar and Giganta, and then I
Hmm.
pulled Chase Flash also. So out of 10 packs, I pulled three chases and two prime.
Hmm.
So this set's been good to me.
Yeah. You like that back massage?
Yes, yes.
Uh,
Like, um, but yeah, he is every bit as good as you think. Um, and his super quake when it goes off is awesome. And since there's these nice little super taxis floating around in this set,
mm-hmm.
people sometimes slip up and do that.
Hmm.
Um, so my next one on the list is I'm not gonna cover Deathbringer. I don't think she's very good. I don't care
No,
about
she
her.
sucks. I know that
If
for.
you get her, I'm sorry. You know, whatever. Um, I do, however, really like the commissioner at 25.
Yeah, the commissioner is broken in my opinion.
Yep,
The, the
improved targeting hindering is great when you combine it with the traded out wit from Secret Six. Add in that he has PD, and then he has Underworld, and then he has leadership because you need that. And he can make the rookie. The rookie's actually a good fighter.
the rookie is ridiculously dumb.
And then he can power action, choose an adjacent friendly that shares a keyword with him. The chosen character can make an attack using its printed combat values. After resolutions, if they missed all targets, give an action token. But I mean, with Monster, Police, Secret Six, Gotham's like he has enough keywords that you can get him on some stuff, including Spider Fan, to where
Hmm.
you can make some sort of cannon type figure fire again at the cost of having a 25-point figure take an action.
Yeah,
That's gross. Like I like it.
yeah. The one thing that I go back to is if you're a Jason player, you're going to get the commissioner just even for the rookie. Because going back, what are we dealing with? 11 attack, two targets, seven range this time. You have Batman NPD caked in, and regardless if the commissioner is on the field or not, you have Batman Ally NPD. So that to me is something that is relatively strong. Definitely for adjacent teams because getting an additional line of fire, -1 to your opponent's defense is really important. Um, and it can sort of protect itself while it's out there, and it also can pick up Jason and just dip. So like that's also huge too. But like being able to be a giant, and I don't think it gets the colossal in not colossal yeah colossal indifference not colossal indifference
No. It
the
gets the
just
great size willpower. It does.
oh it does.
Yeah, it has super willpower.
Oh yeah, so it has a chance of removing tokens from itself. Oh yeah, like this thing is stupid strong. All right, uh, I don't think Supergirl is good unless you think she's good.
the only argument I can make for her is that giving people a keyword is a unique mechanic. So I wouldn't mind having her just because of that. I don't know that it ever becomes great, but at the same time, like combining her with Blade and hitting someone and giving a monster keyword and then having Blade go and cut through them like a hot knife through butter feels good. But I think it's more of a shenanigan than it is actually like good.
There's a couple of characters that I thought one of the Secret Six had something else where if you had a keyword with them, you get a bonus.
All of
Uh,
them, all of them give +1 attack if you share a keyword as part of the Secret Six
yeah,
trait,
yeah,
including
you
her.
get a yeah. That's what it is. It's that whole +1 attack. So you're able to help yourself. So if you're dealing with that, character that works alone and doesn't have any keywords, you're just like, now you're a monster. Let's
Yep.
go. It's like you got hit in the face like a truck. So let's see. Flash as a character is good. I don't think his construct is as good in
Well,
my opinion. The fire hydrant. I mean, it has
the
its
fire
uses.
hydrant, the fire hydrant is autonomous. Um, Flash being able to phase up and then flurry with a 10 attack, potentially miss twice, and then have the autonomous fire hydrant come in, miss again, and now all of a sudden you're bringing in Black Vulcan. That's not bad.
I mean, crit miss does mean Vulcan, but
So the
yeah,
three misses.
yeah. So does three misses mean Vulcan too. That does have a point. I think my main thought is there are a handful of Atlantean and hey, guess what? I'm a dolphin symbol, figures that could do pretty well. I just think that he doesn't synergize with any of them. And for that to be his construct is sort of suck. Um, so yeah. But it does remove hindering and blocking terrain markers. So it is very useful. And again, going back to this, look at me, I can drop ship on top of you and it matters. Being able to get rid of some barrier to open up for a shot, I think that has potential. So you can't, and I think it's interesting, and we can sort of comment on this because I think we're done with the chases, I think, right? Unless you have another chase
Um,
that you really want to.
I mean, I just want to say, like, WizKids, you did a bad job on Jessica Cruz.
Yeah, you
You
did her
made
dirty.
her inferior to Hal in pretty much every possible way, and then you gave her a crappier object. So if she had been the super rare and Hal had been the chase, it would have made more sense. Um, and the Yellow Lantern Hal, like, thanks for giving us a cowboy boot that has CCE, but it's not.
Yeah, I can't modify some stats. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
But okay, so when we talk about Jessica, real quick, like her stats are not great. She's like one of the few that actually has Justice League team ability. I mean, keyword. Uh, and she doesn't benefit from the what you call it from the catcher's mitt, and so she's automatically like at a disadvantage. The spotlight is okay. It's okay. Uh, but when we're looking at her dial, her damage output and her survivability is a bit of a joke. And I hate to say it that each one of her incarnations in the game has not panned out the way like people hoped or even wanted to. Um, I feel like for her being a chase and everything that she does, like take off one like give her one more click or give her a better construct and remove a click. But she's sort of in limbo where she's sort of trash. Like
Well,
just sort of.
set her side by side with the 50-point super rare Hal, right? Not his 75 dial, his 50. so he's the exact same amount of points, right? He's got top dial reducer. He benefits from the catcher's mitt, giving him ESD. He's got running shot, 11 attack, side blast, outwit, so they're the same there. He's got, or instead of outwit, she's got enhancement. That's the only thing she's got going for her. Every other category, you give it to him, right? He's going to be harder to hit from range, or equally hard to hit from range.
And
He's going to, like, literally every single thing falls in his favor. And he's got to stop.
Yeah. So therein lies part of the issue is therein lies in part of the issue, which is he has like how has a big how has a big issue going on where even when we look at the damage output, the damage output is pretty high, and I would even say his synergy in working with everything is also high. And then even with him working with more mechanics than just the heralds is also high. Like Jessica, I feel like only really works well if the heralds are there. If you're playing Jessica on a herald team, I don't think she works well on a Justice League team. I don't really think she works well on a Green Lantern team, uh, in spite of her stats. Hmm?
I don't think you have to do the second half of the statement. I don't think she works well.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so real quick, we're going to go into. Do you want to talk about the Chase Wonder Woman? Do you think that she's worth noting?
I mean, she exists. She's not terrible. I actually like the the play it at home kit Wonder Woman better.
Oh, okay. That's the 175 one. Is the Kingdom? No.
Okay, so you're looking at the
I'm looking at the Kingdom Come one. I think I'm wrong. I'm looking at the Kingdom Come
yeah,
one.
no. Look at it's number 100 in the set. It's a 50 pointer.
Mm-hmm.
She starts with equipment. She generates invisible jet. While she's on the map, that invisible jet is autonomous. Or not autonomous, but autopilot, and it doesn't take damage from doing anything with the autopilot, so
Mm-hmm.
that's great. More importantly, I can have Jason generate it because it is a bystander, and I can put Magneto in it, and then I can have Magneto shoot you, with his RCE for
Yeah.
13 for 5. It feels fine.
I actually like Magneto in the Bat Cycle in New Rules. Like I think he's pretty stupid with the bicycle we got from Worlds with that came with the Robin.
Yep.
But yeah, autopilot from the character name Wonder Woman is on the map. Invisible Jet is not dealt the unavoidable damage when given action. Yeah, like you have one good move when you're using it with Jason, but I don't think it's. Ooh, yeah, like I like that, but
It's also
still.
got Invuln and then Super Senses with Wonder Woman TA. So it has 50/50 sense.
I mean, just that if you're using the Jason to use it for a wild card, that could be really huge because that's an efficient way of getting getting some additional Wonder Woman in for cheap. Hmm. That's giving me some ideas. It's just a matter of getting a hold of one. Let's. I think we've talked about. We haven't. We've talked about all the items, correct?
Yeah, we kind of skimmed over them.
Yeah. Let's go
Wonder Woman
into
armors are
the.
great.
Hmm?
The sword's probably not important. The angle is great. I think that's all the items.
Golden armor is really good. Definitely if you don't have damage reduction. Um, oh yeah. So yeah, you're only taking a maximum of one damage from attacks is pretty stupid. Let's see. I wonder if there's any other older figures that you could just try to play at standard and then get it equipped on that are Wonder Woman that name Wonder Woman. Like, how
Uh,
many of them would be stupid?
Probably not that. Most of the older ones are that good, and
Mm,
then the ones that are pretty much made its way back into the game. So these legacies.
mm, yeah. Well, I guess that's it for the set. I mean, we do have. I guess are these are the play at home ones, the limited editions.
Um, that's the Wonder Woman we covered. Then after that, they have a bunch of legacy cards. I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's that amazing.
Oh, these are legacy cards. Okay, because I'm looking at the Kingdom Come Wonder Woman card.
Yeah. So that's the old Kingdom Come Wonder Woman, and when
Mm,
you combine her with the new armor, it's not that bad. But I have a hard time paying 175 points for printed 3 damage. The 13 attack blades is great and all, and again, she has a couple little neat things that she can do there with the fortified rolls and stuff. Um, she doesn't do enough, so
yeah.
wouldn't do that. Now, I will say they brought back the Superman and Wonder Woman one for 175, and I still don't think she's good enough. But Charge Flurry Sidestep isn't bad. She's a 12/4. She has some protection from Outwit, as long as they're like a deity or more points than her.
Hmm.
She's protected, so that's fine. Uh, she starts with an armor, and she has the Wonder Woman team ability, so it's fine. And she's Mystics, but again, she's close, but she's not there. Um, the 100 points for the Wonder Woman from the New 52, which is one of my all-time favorite sculpt sets.
Hmm.
Um, but she sucks, so yep, she still sucks. Um,
It's like she still sucks.
yeah,
Oh,
I don't know, man. Like it doesn't do anything. Um, like she has a weird placement effect, but it's down dial. Her top dial is just very vanilla. Like, um, there is one. I want to say it's from Justice, and I have pulled this card twice now. And this one is 100 points. Again, a charge, 11 attack, 17 and 3 damage, CCE. I mean, at least the powers all synergize pretty well together. She gets the Wonder Woman equipment, but she has another trait that they piled on here. Whenever Wonder Woman makes a close attack or is targeted with a close attack, you may choose attack or defense. For that attack, the attacker and the defender use each other's printed value of the chosen type. So, I mean, you look at her, top dial, she's an 11, and this is one of those old ones. She cranks all the way down to a 7 at the end,
hmm,
14 defense at the end, right?
yeah.
So, I mean, when you're trying to put her down, she can make you have a 7 attack. And I mean, even when she's swinging on you with an 11 attack, she's making you a 17. Like that's actually pretty impressive. Um, and the way that they worded it, uh, it says they use each other's printed. I'm not
Hmm.
sure if you can modify that or not. That's going to be worth asking. Um, my initial
Well,
would be that you can because it's a replacement value. Um, but yeah, like again, being able to just give you bad stats while I hit you is kind of cool.
yeah, you
I
have
don't
a
think it's
7 on me when I probably have an 18 because I'm using your stats.
um
Yeah, that potentially I see some tricks. I just think one, you have a lot to overcome still. even with getting additional um,
Oh,
free
I agree.
equipment. Like,
I I do not believe that this figure is actually going to see competitive play, but I think it's the closest of the bunch. Um, Now, what I thought was funny here is one of them is actually the Batman animated series rare. She has not left Modern yet, and she already has a legacy card. Um, and basically they tacked on
unlimited.
the well, yeah, they or no, she's from Batman. Um, they tacked on the Wonder Woman ally ability. They
Mm-hmm.
tacked on the equipment. They upgraded her lasso capture to be a little better, right? And they left her at the 75 point value. All of that together still didn't make her good enough to play in. Like she wasn't good enough before, and even with all those buffs, she's still too much.
Well, and I also say this, like, with the powers printed, she was what? An uncommon?
She was a rare.
Rare? Oh, ooh, that doesn't bode well, even better. I think part of that comes in is that they're trying to buff it and then give you all these different mechanics, thinking that by throwing all the little mechanics on there, that would be worth it. And it still doesn't get around the core issues of the game, which is she can't roll up and just deck someone. And she's Wonder Woman. Yes, the TA helps. Yes, Unlimited helps. But they're little things. They're not real improvements. That's just like saying, like, I have a bland cake, but I put a bunch of sprinkles on it and cream cheese icing, and then it should be a good cake. And it's like, no, that doesn't make it a good cake, because I could take those same elements, put it on like a good strawberry cake, and it's an excellent cake. But if I have this plain cake with little sugar and little flavoring and no vanilla, it's not going to taste good. And I think that's the part with design where I feel WizKid's game design is messed up like this. Yes, there are some things that should be better, but in WizKid's game design, there has to be things that are definitively crap, that are not useful, that do not work well in the process of the game. And you have one little gem in there, so that if you really want that one little gem, you have to go through 80 pounds of suffering to get that one little gem, which
Well,
the average player is just like, I'm not going to do that.
I mean, so here's my thing. These legacy cards are essentially the same rarity as a chase. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
there's one per brick.
Mm-hmm.
Make them good. Okay, like take for instance this Wonder Woman riding the horse, right?
Mm-hmm. I had her. She was good for
Yeah,
her time.
she's 75 points now,
Mm-hmm.
right? She's got a full movement charge, super strength, exploit, and when she or after resolutions knock back each adjacent opposing character's 2 square, right? She
Mm-hmm.
gets a Wonder Woman TA added and an equipment.
Mm-hmm.
At 75 points, is she better than Sky Tyrant?
No, but that's also a
Hang
fault
on, hang
that
on.
the game has created as well, which is tilting everything towards the super rare slot.
But
And yes, the
again,
common
this
slot
is
and the uncommon slot's gotten better.
but this particular mechanic, the legacy cards as they're being distributed currently, are the same distribution in this set as the chases, one per brick, right? The legacy cards in this set are actually rarer than the prime when you look at it because there's more of them. And well, probably about on par because I think the primes are not always one per brick. I think it's like usually one per case or one per sometimes two per case depending.
Mm-hmm.
The point there is you could make these you could go a little further. Like I like what they're doing. I really like the legacy mechanic. I think it's super cool. But the problem is that they still haven't gotten aggressive enough to make these like actually competitive. Now these are great for like, your fun kitchen table game, but they need to step it up if they actually want these pieces to be played. Otherwise, I feel like they're kind of wasting. It's a half measure at this.
Yeah. So let's wrap it up and put in our thoughts on the set and like how we rank it. So go ahead and start us off, Tom.
The set as a whole, I would say, is a very very big A. Um, I generally I try to skip out on DC sets and just cherry pick. Um, this one you really can't do it because like they've managed to put a lot of value in the common slot, so buying extra boosters and getting some commons doesn't feel like a waste because it's like, hey, these are generatable generics that I can use. I like
Mm.
that. The rare slot, there's a couple of gems, um, and then the uncommon has mostly generators that are okay. Then you hit the super rare and the chases, and most of the super rares are great, and about half of the chases are phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Big fan.
All right. My thoughts are as follows. I look at this set and I say to myself, this is of decent value. Okay, it's of decent value, and when I compare it to Future Foundation, I look at this set as less valuable than Future Foundation. And if you listen to my Future Foundation review, there was a lot of stuff that I liked in Future Foundation. There was a lot of stuff that I was a little bit more questionable on. The expansion of the captain and the ally mechanic, I like that. There are a decent amount of characters in the commons, uncommons, and rare slot that are usable in competitive. There's some severe takeaways, which Giganta is one, Star Sapphire. We the generics we talked about those. All those things are useful. Steve Trevor, they have a place. I think the problem for me when I start looking at this set and where I feel like it's like Jenga over and it's going to fall is in particularly when we start looking at that chase, when we start looking at the chases. And it's not that the chases are bad, but I think the way that the scaling and interaction of the chases are either, oh my gosh, that's broken, or why did I have this piece of plastic in my pool? And I feel like it's both extremes, and that's what's disgusting. Like we could say, King Shazam, no one wants one. Deathbringer, no one would want one. Supergirl, maybe a handful of people would want one. Let's see, Hal Jordan. I don't think there's anyone that would want a Hal Jordan. The
Yeah,
one,
that was sad.
yeah, Wonder Woman. Maybe a handful of people, like a small amount of people, might be interested in Hal Jordan. I mean, Wonder Woman. She actually would have been good if she was able to bring in uh, a Wonder Woman weapon, but she can't because she has a construct. And they're anyway. Uh, like Flash. While I enjoy Flash, how many people are going to be really interested in Flash? Not that many. And so, like, the focus is Scarab, Sky Tyrant, and Commissioner. That's not good. That's really not good. Definitely in last set we were talking about there were only two Dooms that we were like I don't know, but even still, and there's only like one Doom was Valeria, where we were like, oh yeah, she's the only one that's not worth it. And so when I see like them doing this is your one DC set a year, so we got to pack in all this stuff, I'm like, you need to really think about renegotiating this DC contract. you really need to think about if you're going to have a mechanic. Uh, if Give me a second. If you're going to have a mechanic that is going to be in one DC set, then it needs to, at least you need to be committing to it for 2 years. And if you can't commit it to for 2 years, then please don't do it. Like we should have gotten team up cards and worked on that Justice League synergy and Injustice League synergy. I think that would have been a big deal. But what were you gonna say, Tom?
Um, I think that they messed up with how they did Secret Six. Um, the fact that they're giving a the ability to outwit through protected and safeguard with a bunch of relatively low value figures that are surprisingly hard hitting was probably not good. When you combine that with the ability to go and outwit people from ridiculous range, that's even worse. And then when you combine the fact that they have an improved targeting hindering character, they also have the ability to outwit now when adjacent, even if you do have stealth. Like all of the natural counters to this team, they took away. Um, like this team has a toolbox that can deal with literally everything and has a favorable matchup with almost everything else.
Mm,
And that's not good game design. And so like with the lanterns, I think they overbalanced them, and I think with the Secret Six, they're very very much not correctly balanced. And I hate to complain about good figures because at the end of the day, we complain when a figure is not good,
right.
but the disparity there that needs to be addressed, like you said. And again, I feel one thing that very much bothers me is we still don't have a comprehensive rule book.
Yeah. Like yeah.
And at the end of the day, what this tells me is this set was designed without fully knowing their own rules. And if you guys don't think that's a problem, I don't know what to say.
Uh okay. So here is here's what we're going to do. We've gone on for a bit of a while. So we're going to end the episode right here. If y'all are interested in the bonus conversation that's going to happen, you can check out my Patreon. I'm just kidding. If you want to hear the bonus conversation, we're going to record the another episode. I got Wes Summers here in the Discord, so I'm going to see if I can get him in for a little bit, and we're going to talk about the comprehensive rule book issue and the impact on the game. But I definitely agree. There are a lot of things in this design of the set that just let me know they did not know. This set was designed before the rules changes, and this was already sent off to print and to be into manufacturing, and there's some clarity of like, yeah, you knew sort of what you were doing, but you didn't know how everything was going to work. And I also believe we see that in Future Foundation too. So all right, so we're going to wrap this up. I'd like to thank Tom for showing up, the homie, the big homie, pun intended. You can follow me on Twitter. Actually, don't even follow me on Twitter anymore. Twitter kept glitching with my YouTube synergy. Just look out for the channel. I hate saying it like that because YouTube hates YouTubers and Twitter hates everyone right now, even Twitter. Just look out at the channel. Peck a friend and let them know and put a little birdie in their ear and say, hey, latest episode of Starting Over Podcast is up. Next, you can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. If you wish to opine, keep it pithy, keep it interesting, keep it awesome, baby. Let me know what you think about the Wonder Woman set. I got a couple of emails recently from people asking me some very cool questions, so I appreciate that. And yeah, that's it. So, like I said, we're going to have a little bonus episode about no core rule book. What does that really mean? for the game in design. And yeah, so like always, we all have to start over sometime.